Ain't no half stepping. With Marcus J. Thank y'all everybody for going through the SB interview that we just played for you guys. I remember this summer in July actually watching that live with my own daughter, and it was emotional. It was emotional to hear, and it was emotional to see. You heard him speaking. I don't think there's any question that he knew as he was giving that speech that his days were numbered. I've heard many people who were there around him during that time, and they all basically said when he left the stage, he literally had to go in the back and just chill, just lay down, because it took so much out of him to even be there, but he wanted to be, so that he can show us that he was okay, so that he can show us that, you know, the only thing that's important in that moment is to show the love for his daughters, which what he did right there at the end. And just a quick word about, you know, this monster that took him and others from us. You know, it's one of those things where I don't think that there's anybody, certainly not in this room, but just anybody in general, that has not been touched in some kind of way by this monster. And I don't know if there's any way to eradicate it, but I think that we need to fight. Always, 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 always fight. You know, Stuart Scott had three bouts with it, and he never once gave up. And I think that if there's anybody dealing with anything in their life, you know that people here love you, and you know that, you know, there's nothing like the life that we've been given. It's the most precious thing. And when you see someone like Stuart battle so valiantly and cling to every single moment that he had left, I think that we all could learn a lesson from that. So we're going to dedicate the rest of the show to Stuart Scott. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. If you want to get a word in on Stuart, feel free to call, but we're going to move on to other stuff. I am going to ask you all, what the hell? I'm going to start with the mom in the room. That's why I don't know about this one. I'm getting this one from abcnews.com. This one is about a mom on, she was on an airplane, man. Ms. Cautionbaum. She's a Short Hills, New Jersey mom of four, Elliot Cautionbaum. She has a 3-year-old stroke survivor daughter named Ivy. Ivy also has spastic quadriplegic cerebral palsy. They were on an air flight traveling on December 30th from Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic back home to Newark, New Jersey. Her husband and her had purchased a seat in economy for Ivy, but because, and she, of course, is aware of federal safety regulations requiring everyone over 2 to purchase their own seats. So, of course, they bought her a ticket. But because of Ivy's challenges, she's not often able to sit up on her own. She's flown in the past with her parents since she's been 2 years old. She usually sits in one of her parents' laps. Even though she is older than 2, she is very, very small. At 25 pounds, she's about the size of a 1-year-old. She was sitting in the business class next to her 11-year-old son with Ivy on her lap when she was passed by 3 flight attendants who acknowledged the family but did not make any mention of Ivy on the lap. Then a 4th attendant approached them, and this is a quote, the 4th attendant approached, and she knew immediately there was a problem. She needs a seat, she was told. And then she explained that, well, she can't. The series of events that unfolded, which delayed the flight's takeoff by an hour, became a circus. Adding resisting attendant was the most senior of the crew, and that's why I guess this person was able to hold everything up. A spokesperson for United, which was the airline, told the news station that the parents were ticketed in first class, wanted to hold the child in their lap rather than have the child take a seat that they purchased for her. Federal safety regulations require any child over the age of 2 have his or her own seat. Flight attendants are required to enforce the safety rule. As we did this in this case, we will always work with customers on seating arrangements in the event of special needs. Ivy ended up lying belted in across the lap for takeoff and landing. She sat on her mother's lap for the rest of the trip. There's a little bit more that they talk about how they tried to apologize and give them free trips and all of that kind of stuff. But as a mom, you hear this story about how you see the special need and what appears to be some insensitivity here. Mom, so what do you think?
You know, I think the problem here is that the child was over what, 2?
Child was over 2, yeah.
She was over 2. She was actually 3, right?
3 years old.
What you said?
Yes.
However, it appeared that she may have been about 1, if you look at her,
Yes.
right? All right. So the appearance is what gets her to keep her on her lap. That, and you know, the fact that she has the disabilities. I think that some arrangements should have been, I mean, it's just me. I think that some arrangements should have been made when she made her flight reservation, letting them know that she has the baby and, you know, what's wrong, and making sure she got all that cleared. I can't say I blame so much the airline. I understand where the airline is coming from, but I also understand as a parent where the mother is coming from and having the baby sit on her. She has to hold the baby. So I understand that, but I think that maybe a little care should have gone into the reservations for that flight and letting them know so that they can avoid that little mishap there.
Big Bro, what do you think?
I was agreeing with the SY for a little bit. Then she took this turn, and I can't agree with her no more.
On what part?
Now, yes, I think mom should have been like, yo, my baby can't do this, yada, yada, yada. I'm with you. However, the flight attendant, I understand she's got rules.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, she got this thing called a phone. And all she need to do is call somebody, call a superior. Hey, look, this is what's up. I understand the rule. However, you know, I want to check with you before something bad happens. See, my thought process was on this. I feel like that attendant who didn't budge, she did not go out of her way to try.
Mm-hmm.
Now, also with the parent who didn't, I mean, nobody's, I don't know how she made her arrangements.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do agree with you. She probably should have looked around. She probably should have made a couple calls, especially when you have a special needs child.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't, as much as you want to be like, I want my child to be like everybody else, sometimes you can't be that way.
Big Joe, what you think about this, man? You hearing the conversation. What's your thoughts, man? You got children.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this gonna sound real ill, but first of all, I still hold the parents responsible for having the situation to begin with, because you've flown before, you know what's going on, and you know how the rules are. That's my business point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, federal safety regulations, that's my business point of view.
Mm-hmm.
To Rube's point, that head stewardess could have went right up to that cockpit, knocked on that door, and talked right to the pilot and said, listen, this is what we have.
Right.
This is the situation.
Right.
These are the accommodations, and this is my recommendation. They did it all the time. When I worked for TSA, trust and believe, they did it all the time.
And it's funny you say that, Big Bro, because that's ultimately what ended up happening. It just took an hour for them to get to that point, and the compromise was lay her down strapped while we take off and land, and then you can sit up during the flight. And you know, in the rare occasion that I agree with Ruben, you know, I'm with you. It's one of those things, man. I've said on many occasions, you know, we lack compassion in this world, man. We just don't have no compassion. You know, if you look at this child and you can see that, okay, the child is 3 years old. But if you look at the child and the child looks 1, I mean, okay, so what? She's 3. She's an itty bitty tiny little thing. And I think when you make those guidelines under the understanding that the child, once they're 2 years old, they're of a certain size. And so, you know, you can see that the child has physical challenges. So to be standing there stressing their parents out, who is your customer? I get that you have your law and order, your rules and regulations, but I think there also comes a time where you need to have some sort of compassion. And I agree with Ruben and Joe. She could have made a phone call, or sooner than an hour. They could have went into the pilot and said, look here, Mr. Pilot, or Miss Pilot, this is the situation. You know, what do you think we can do, instead of stressing out the parents and holding everybody up? Because I'll be honest with you, while I'm sitting here talking about how we need to have some compassion, if I'm sitting in the back of the plane and that's going on in the front and I don't know what the deal is,
pissed.
I'm on fire right now. You know what I mean? Because, you know, they're not going to be telling the people what's going on with stuff like that. They're going to be telling you this all kinds of weirdo delays, big bro.
Yo, but Marcus J., I still got to go back to the same thing. As a parent,
right?
I would always make sure that I knew what was going on before I got on that plane. So that's why I say that, yes, the steward, and we can hold United responsible for being asinine about federal regulations. But guess what? If they're not asinine about federal regulations, and okay, case in point,
something happens.
I was just going to say, case in point, if they get on that plane and they tell me that I can't sit in a bulkhead section because I haven't, because I'm not able to say the plane was going down. If you're not able to carry out the capacity of somebody sitting on a bulkhead, you can't sit here.
Sit there.
Okay, you want to argue the fact that I can do whatever. I'm good. And you didn't or cannot hold out to the responsibilities, which your ticket clearly says. If you can't do these certain things in the case of an emergency and you're sitting on the bulkhead, guess what? You can't sit here.
Yep.
I mean, I just think that, you know, we have rules for specific reasons. I understand the rules. I think that everybody can, to your point, compassion is there, but we have to make sure that everybody takes ownership in this part. We can't sit there and get mad at United all the way. You can't sit there and get mad at the parents all the way. Everybody should take an equal part in this whole discussion.
There needs to be some sort of compromise. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. This next one is in Oklahoma. And the headline on thegrio.com is, wearing a hoodie in Oklahoma could become illegal and cost you $500, big bruh, as you sit there with your hoodie on. Now, this was a 1920s era Oklahoma law that was once meant to combat the Ku Klux Klan. It may now be amended to make it illegal to wear a hoodie in the state. Under the new proposal, a person could be fined up to $500 for rocking his hoodie. State Senator Don Barrington is proposing changes to the law because he says he wants to help victims of, quote, robbery. The intent of Senate Bill 13 is to make businesses and public places safer by ensuring that people cannot conceal their identities for the purpose of crime or harassment. Similar language has been in Oklahoma statutes for decades, and numerous other states have similar laws in place. Oklahoma businesses want state leaders to be responsive to their safety concerns, and this is one way we can provide protection, said Senator Barrington of Lawton. The 1920s law banning hoods made sense during the days of the KKK, but some citizens who spoke to the news station believe extending the law to ban hoodies would be overreacting, saying, quote, they might have personal issues for keeping them on. They might have a bad hair day, or maybe they have cancer. They're losing hair. You just don't know. It's what citizen Tracy Wagon has said. Some people believe the proposed law will give another reason for law enforcement to profile men of color. Quote, I don't think this solution will work. I just think that it will cause a little more tension within the community. It probably will be a reason for cops to mess with more people wearing hoodies, end quote. Big Joe, you up first, my brother, as you sit there with your hoodie on.
Yeah, and I will rock my hoodie in Oklahoma, and damn to say something about it. Really?
Yes. Really.
Okay, this is one of those what the hell moments, because I just do not understand. First of all, we're going to talk about the KKK and their hoods, their pillowcases, they're sheets, not a true article of clothing that people wear. University of Oklahoma, walk around in shorts and hoodies all day long, but that's probably because they're Caucasoid and they don't know no better. Okay. Anyway, I think that's so stupid. Yes, I did. I sure did. I wanted to say something else, but I'm being respectful. But think about it. Who cares if you wear a hoodie?
Somebody obviously does.
Okay, so if you wear a turtleneck and cover up your face, you can't wear a turtleneck neither. That's why you got to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you put a skull cap on.
Well, I actually, when I was doing research for this story, I have found that in Arkansas, Tennessee, and I believe Florida, along with possibly other states, it is against the law to go inside of a bank with sunglasses and or a hat.
But you can carry a gun.
But you can carry a gun. Yeah. How about that? Big Roo, what's your thoughts on the hoodie story?
Yeah, you can carry a gun. And, yeah.
I mean, that's just like the same law in Virginia that basically says anything other than what's it called? I can't believe I just lost my thought. Having sex.
Okay. I know what you're talking about. That's on the
missionary.
books too.
Yeah,
Anything other than missionary
is against the law.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I mean, as far as the hoodie situation goes, yeah,
That's on the books.
that's real.
There's a whole list of laws that were enacted that are just nonsensical and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
to your point,
I mean,
Big Roo,
the law says that if it conceals your identity. Now, Joe, if you put your hood on and it goes up to your forehead, that's not concealing your identity. Now,
and he's bald. What if it's cold? It's Oklahoma.
well, then that's fine
really
because it's
don't?
not concealing your identity. Now, if you put your hoodie on and you can barely see your face, that is concealing your identity. That's not concealing your identity because you can still see your face.
You can still see
now,
your
if you do that, that's concealing your identity.
It's Oklahoma.
Man.
Have you been to Oklahoma?
But you know,
I have.
you know what I think.
It's
But I mean,
cold.
I guess my thing is, we take these laws so seriously.
Because they're laws. What's the law and
It
order?
is, but you don't see anybody crying about the missionary law in Virginia.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's silly. I get why you brought it up to
Why
make
is
the
that
point.
silly? It's the same thing.
It's I get why you brought it up to make the analogy, but the missionary law ain't affecting nobody. It's just not. So I don't think.
But
that
it can.
It's not affecting nobody.
Neither is the hoodie law, apparently.
Really ain't
Well,
affecting nobody.
Who's gonna tell on you if you're?
Yeah, this
having
is what I
sex in
mean.
the
You know,
missionary
it's
position?
I don't even really think that
really?
that's that's.
But once
I get the
We're
point.
talking
that you
about
bring it-
stupid, frivolous
but
laws.
you bring it up. You bring it up to make the point that this is a stupid law.
well, yes, and also I bring it to the point where what happens is these little ruffians, I like to call them, the little kids buy like the triple X hoodie joints that when you put your hood on, you can't see there nothing. See, like that's what I'm saying. Big Joe, he puts a hoodie on, you can still see who he is. But if you got a 95-pound kid with a triple X fat goose hoodie on, you can't see nothing, and that's what the rule is for.
Well, they need to sit there and get mad at them because they buying my clothes
That's the
anyhow.
parents.
Well, and the thing about it is, if you're gonna wear that if you're 12, you should get arrested. You should have the cops come, son. This is not appropriate to wear.
They should arrest your parents for letting you come out of the house.
because that's what will happen. Your parents get in trouble. But I mean, I'm not saying I agree or disagree with the law. It's kind of a frivolous law, but the only way it comes to effect is if it completely covers your face.
I don't think it's a frivolous law, and here's why I disagree with you on it being a frivolous law and comparing it to missionary is kind of silly. I get why you brought it up to make the point that you agree that it's silly, but the missionary law ain't going to affect nobody. I mean, who's going to tell on you? That's
Not even the point, though, Mark.
But I understand that. But let me flesh out what I'm saying.
Okay.
If you are walking down the street in Omaha with that hoodie on, they can arrest you with this new law, and they can use the fact that it is a law. Well, not arrest you. That's not what this thing says. But you can get fined $500. Nobody's going to know that you're having missionary sex in the house. That's why it doesn't matter. But
Okay.
you got $500 that just been taken from you because of an article of clothing.
There is one law. Okay, well, let me do this then. I'm going to be one even stupider. There's a law. Yes, sir, stupider. There's a law on the North Carolina books that you can take your wife to the courthouse and whoop her on the courthouse floor between 12 and 1.
But here's,
I mean, I guess I don't. I guess maybe I'm not making the point.
no,
very
I
well.
understand.
No, I agree with you.
My point
It's
is
just pissing me off.
But yeah, my point is this is a law that is defined to profile people.
Yes,
Yeah,
agreed.
we can sit here and we can say profile black people. We can say that if we want to. I'm not going to take it quite that far simply because black people ain't the only people that's rocking hoodies. But the truth of the matter is, when we hear people like Geraldo Rivera go on Fox News and say that you shouldn't be wearing a hoodie, and we see that Trayvon Martin was killed, and a big part of the narrative was that he was wearing a hoodie, and now you're in Omaha, Nebraska, and you could be walking down the street and you're wearing a hoodie and they fine you because of an article of clothing, and they use an antiquated law that was designed to protect people from the KKK to do it. I don't want to talk about comparing this to missionary. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about profiling. Anybody want to do that? I mean, seriously, am I on a limb alone here?
No. And we were. I mean, you got to understand the points of view from that one, Marcus. We were making a point that to us, the law. First of all, the law didn't make plausible sense to me. I mean, I just don't understand what a article of clothing wearing a hoodie but let's go back to that. I made that statement. The KKK scenario was a pillowcase, and then you know what? And honestly, at that time, they really weren't wearing hoods in 1920. They were wearing sheets, and they were more like bandanas, and they pulled them over their faces where you could still see their mouths. I mean, let's go back and look at that. It's just profiling at its best. It's just another way to sit. Because I made the point. You go to University of Oklahoma, you see folks walking around with shorts, flip-flops, and hoodies on all day long. Are they going to go on campus and stop everybody who's wearing a hoodie?
no, because they're not concealing their identity. They're just wearing a hoodie. And I mean, I understand what you're saying, Marcus. I think, and this you can disagree because I know you're going to. I think this is one of those ones, man, that I really think I think we might be pushing the envelope on it because
Who?
I think the envelope might be being pushed on as far as basically, oh, you can get fined for wearing hoodies. What? No. And it says it's to make businesses and public places safer by ensuring people cannot conceal their identities for the purpose of crime harassment.
So basically, I live in a world where they're going to assume I'm a criminal, and because they can't prove that I'm not, they're going to fine me $500. Joy is agreeing with us. She's listening, and she agrees with me that this is so damn dumb, and it is.
I'm not saying it's the smartest rule in the world, but I mean, I think the problem is that
you're debating me, and that's good radio. But I just
it's not debating.
I really thought that this would have been one of those no-brainer conversations. I really did.
Ruben. If I'm hearing you correctly,
because I guess I don't care. I don't care about this because when it's all said and done, the only time this law would even come into play, from what I'm reading, is if you walked into a business, you can't wear your hoodie. If you got arrested, okay, we're going to throw an extra thing on top of you. The law doesn't say, hey, if you walk down the street with a hoodie on, you'll get fined.
All right, well, let me ask
That's
you.
not what the law says.
Let me ask you this then. Because this will be the last statement. We'll move on to something else. July 1st in Virginia, every year we get a new set of laws. Every year, July 1st. Sometimes January 1st, usually July 1st. Every year we get a new set of laws. One of them happens to be something that you do all the time and you don't know. And you get caught doing it, and now you just got fined $500. How you feel about that?
How I feel about that?
I'm asking you, Ruben.
I mean, it's called get a lawyer.
Because ignorance of the law does not make you.
I got you. And I knew somebody would go there, and I'll take my lumps for presenting a scenario where something as simple as that statement could torpedo it. But the reason why I asked the question is, we're talking about minor stuff. We're talking about minor stuff. We're talking about clothes. I can't rock my clothes. Can't wear my clothes. You don't see how this is moving us towards a point in our world that can be very, very tricky. I mean, I think everybody needs to care about that. I really do. I mean, we were legislating what I can wear now and where I can wear it. I can wear my hood walking down the street, but as soon as I walk inside a building, I can't wear it anymore. I mean, that's a.
Well, why should you have your hood on inside a building?
I mean, why not?
Well, you know what?
Why not?
But to Marcus's point, we don't like it, but there's some statues in some places where you can't wear your jeans sagging either.
Yeah.
That needs to be everywhere.
Well,
I think that's different though, because that's indecent exposure. You showing your ass.
no, not if you got drawers on.
Yeah, but this is. I think that's a different. I think we've got some indecency working with us there. Let's move on. There's a couple other things that I want to get to, and I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to get to the round table, which we haven't had in quite a while. So I'm going to skip the break that we had planned for right here, and I've got about 3 more that I'm going to rapid fire run through real quick, and then we're going to get us out of here. Ruben, you had a person who was a waiter who in Arlington, Texas, got fired for leaving a racial slur on a receipt on New Year's. The person wrote all capital letters, the N-word, simply, and gave it to these 6 people in the store. There was a story that came out of Texas. There was also a story that came out of Virginia, right here in the Arlington area, the same day, same incident. What's your thoughts about that?
Person should have been fired. No question. There's nothing else to talk about. That's just like writing a-hole on somebody. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a derogatory term. And if you write it on something as public as your bill that you're giving somebody first of all, you expect them to pay and you expect them to tip you, and you write that? Nah. And it's a court document.
I guess at that point he wasn't expecting a tip, or she wasn't expecting a tip, that they had nerve enough to write that on your receipt.
He wasn't expecting a job either.
They should have been fired, but they would have got an ass whooping first. I'm sorry.
I think we live in a world where we empower these people. We just do. I mean, I have a hard time. I do a story like this, and people are like, oh, Marcus, Mr. Black Power, you should be up in arms. I'm not. I don't feel sorry for people who use the N-word and then the N-word is turned back on them. Now, if these people never once used it, then I'm 100% with them. Now, I shouldn't say never once used it, if they don't currently use it. I think many of us in our community used it at some point quite regularly. When you come to a point where you make a choice not to, I think that's when you get to be righteously indignant about it. We did a story a couple of weeks ago, Joe, where a guy had the same thing happen to him. And when you wonder how this person felt empowered to do it, when his person he was there with, or he stepped away, and the person he was there with told the person his Facebook name, and when the waiter went on his Facebook page, they saw that's what he called himself on his Facebook page. So when he wrote it on a receipt,
what's the big deal now?
What you mad for?
Well,
white folk can't call me that, yeah, but all the homies do because they take the power out the word.
Let's do this. And several
FOH.
Several things I can sit here and look at on this. First of all, if you're working, keyword being working for me on my job that I am paying you for, I don't really care what you think. Mm-hmm. Don't do it.
Right.
Drop bottom line.
Right.
If you want to, you know what? You can write the N-word on every receipt you want to when it's your establishment.
It's your business. Yeah.
But on my business,
don't do me like that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I can dig it. Michelle K is checking in, everybody. She's saying what's up. What's up
Michelle.
to everybody. This next one is pretty daggone interesting. Everybody. This is one. First of all, ain't no half step with Marcus J. We're live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. We thank everybody that's listening to us on TuneIn, LegacyInternetRadio.com, as well as everybody that is listening to us on the fan page, on the YouTube page. We ask that you guys continue to like everything and share everything and help us continue to grow here in 2015. This next one I'm getting from the freethoughtproject.com. I found on the National Wire. And I'm going to just spit this one right out. Ruben, I want you in on this one first. This is about a man turning a stray dog into an animal shelter, but he was killed by the police after refusing to show his ID. Now, we know with the rash of media coverage of police-involved killings of civilians, most notably black civilians here in the country, with most obviously the Eric Garner situation in New York City and Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. It's all over the news. But this one isn't. Robert Earl Lawrence is a white man. Robert Earl Lawrence is a 30-year-old white man who was shot and killed last week. And, there's details here. I'll kind of get them, in, but I really want to kind of talk about what's not being talked about. But the gist of it was he had a stray animal. He took it in. They refused to take the animal unless he showed them ID, which, me personally, I think that's kind of odd. And so did he. He refused. He's like, I ain't giving you no ID. I'm just giving you this animal. Take the animal. And he refused. They called the police, and the police showed up. And they got into a discussion with them. And he finally was like, look, man, I ain't fooling with y'all. Leave me alone. And he tried to leave, resisting arrest. And he caught a hot one in the stomach. And he's gone. So, Rube, I want you in on this one first. This is a picture of Mr. Lawrence here. I'm showing it here to the crew. Feel free, if you're listening to the show and you want to get more information about this particular story, feel free to Google Robert Earl Lawrence out of Dothan, Alabama. White man shot dead by the police. And my question is, why isn't this on the national media? Why we ain't talking about this? If we are living in a climate now where the police are on the hot seat with these case after case after case, where police involved killings of people, civilians, is the hot thing in the news right now. We've got all kinds of protest marches and, all this kind of stuff. How come ain't nobody talking about this?
It's not news.
Why not?
Because
the police killed an unarmed person. Why isn't it news?
Because, to be perfectly honest with you,
that's what I like here.
Nobody cares to see a white dude get shot by the cops. That doesn't bring ratings. That just in other news,
to my white friends who I know listen, and I know you're listening now, so hit me on the wall if you want to get a comment. Yeah, keeping it 100. Or call 804-402-2893, or just inbox me later like y'all normally do, which is fine. But this is one of those examples that you guys have given me. You told me. And in the interest of 100% full disclosure, yes, there is an incident of a white male being killed by the police. There is an incident. So, Big Bruh, what's your thoughts on this? Why isn't the media talking about this incident?
Well, first of all, Marcus J., I'm sitting here listening to what you're saying, and something just doesn't add up. If you stir that pot, from what you just told me, because I do not want to give you my ID, I get shot in the stomach. Well, this white gentleman gets killed and shot in the stomach. I was
thinking about that too.
It just does not add up. There has to be something else there.
I mean, we at least got to do something back.
Yeah, I mean, it's that doesn't even make good sense.
This dude got killed like the brothers done. I mean,
there's a whole lot missing.
I'm just.
What were the cops there? Let me ask you a question. Were they two white cops who shot him?
It doesn't say.
It doesn't tell us.
It doesn't say. But I mean, I don't think that's odd because they go sometimes weeks and months without telling us who the officers involved in.
But to our point, we know who shot the young man in Ferguson, right?
It took a month to find out, but yeah. And this story is a week old. So, eventually we may find out. After repeatedly being told to calm down, Lawrence was advised he was being placed under arrest. A physical altercation ensued, to which Lawrence was shot in the abdomen by the officer. This is what Police Sergeant Maurice Eggleston told the Alabama News.
Okay, so
he questioned why they wanted to see his ID.
When all he was doing is returning an animal to the shelter.
First of all, I can't believe that hey, look, I'm going to drop this dog off and I'm out.
Yeah.
Why did he even hang around
and wait for the police?
And wait for the police.
Yeah.
First of all,
that was actually my first question.
Here in Richmond, I actually took a dog to the shelter. And they do ask you, I can't recall if she asked me for ID, but they do ask you where you got the dog. Do you know who owns the dog? They do ask you questions. They will not just take the freaking animal and put the animal in the shelter.
And
damn
shame what happened to that dog.
One reason she told me is that the shelter was freaking full. they couldn't take the animal. She actually asked me, did I know anybody who would take the dog? Well, then now why am I standing in front of you? If
All
you
right, well,
ask
you know
me
what?
that magic
I'm gonna walk
question.
right back outside the SPCA. Hey, dog, I'm gonna give him a pound with his. I'm gonna give him a
If
pound.
there was a way
and
I
I'm
could
gonna walk
have
off.
hooked him on,
Do it
right
like a
out
bag
there,
of burning crap.
then I would
Put it on the
have.
front door.
Holla.
But I was trying to put a pit bull in the shelter, so I can't just leave that dog.
Why?
No,
A
I'm
pit
not.
bull?
I'm not gonna just leave the dog.
Listen, first of all, y'all taking the dog to the SPC. Look,
Listen.
I think this is such a simple story.
That story, there was a lot missing. I think he questioned it.
Yeah.
Whoever he questioned him got uptight. He argued back and forth.
Yep.
They decided to call the police.
And
He
for some reason he
beat
hung
home to the
around and
police.
waited.
Yep.
I don't know why he would have done that.
I don't know.
Because for
You
me,
got a picture of this
it
dude?
would have been it's a
Yeah,
picture.
he showed
You know,
him.
What do he look like? I'm just curious.
What I would have probably done is I probably would have just walked out
He looked like
and let the
crazy.
dog run crazy in there while I was gone.
Yeah, he
But
looked little.
I didn't even really want to get into any of that. What I really wanted to talk about is
Just the basics
with
of
the
story.
How come you don't hear about it
why
on
are we
TV?
not talking about it with the climate that we're in right now? The elephant in the room is, it's not good news to talk about that.
Yeah, it's not good news.
It's not,
news.
and Ruben nailed it in his first statement.
not.
You
Way to
know?
go, Ruben.
Yeah, and so I think that it's disingenuous for us. We can, we pro-black folks here in the country, in the world, protesting. I think we would be disingenuous if we did not understand that, obviously in smaller numbers, but it does happen. And if we're going to be up in arms when this happens to our people, we need to be up in arms when this happens to everybody, because Robert Earl Lawrence didn't deserve to die. He was taking a dog back,
yeah.
regardless of what his history was, regardless of him refusing to show ID. You mean to tell me refusing to show ID can cost me my life? You'll have some of these far right wingers that'll tell you, well, if he'd have just complied with the officer, he would have been okay. But you know what? If the officer is almost cuss, if the officer is messing with me, and I feel that I'm being violated, at some point, I got that you in authority. But you're going to have to be fair with me, too. Give me some kind of good, logical reason why I got to show you ID when all I'm trying to do is give you a dog.
Give a dog a home.
And that just doesn't make sense to me. I get the law and order stuff. I don't want to debate none of that. I want to speak logically. Can we keep it 100 that way for a minute?
Sure.
And you know how Steppin Marcus, Jay. Keeping it moving. Hey, Target. Y'all know what's going on with Target, right?
Man, that's why I don't go there now.
Target is refusing to apologize for an ad that they had up. The ad features a young white girl in the photograph, as opposed to the young black girl that's in the new Annie movie. And you had a lot of people, when they went into the various Targets and they saw the ad for the young white girl, and it's not even the young white girl from the 80s Annie's movie. It was just some other white girl who ain't even got red hair, but that's another debate. But there are some who have a problem with the fact that young Quavajane Wallace, it is not the featured model in the Annie ad in Target. And Target has taken a position that they don't care that you mad, and that they felt that this ad was to appeal to young girls of all races and colors and things of that sort. And for those folks who have an issue with it, that's a you problem. I want to know who agrees with Target, and I want to know who agrees that there should be some sort of apology. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. Michelle K, Joy, Renee, y'all still listening? Ladies, I want y'all opinions on this one. SY, you up first. What's your thoughts?
Well, answer something for me.
Me?
Yes.
Sure, go for it.
With that ad there, are they selling the movies next to it?
No, the movie is not out. It's not coming out. It's marketing for the products and the clothing lines and all of that kind of stuff. The movie's in the movie, so they won't be selling the movie in the store. No.
So it's an ad for clothes.
It's an ad for the clothes and other products in relation to the movie.
To the movie.
Yes. Long sigh, long pause.
All right. Here's my take, and I guess I'm going to be one of those people who may be siding with Target. If it's something that has to do with maybe clothing or whatever, it's just an ad for something. It's not an ad for the movie. We're not promoting the movie. I'm not too sure I see a big deal. Maybe I'm still missing what the ad is all about. Just for clothes, it's got to be a little bit more than that, just for clothes. But is it only just that one little white girl? Or are there several different
There's
kids in the
it's
ads?
multicultural. That is the one that is most prominent because that is the one that sparked the largest amount of conversation.
Okay.
But my understanding is it is multicultural, and there's other little girls of other cultures in this ad.
You know, if it's an ad where we have numerous backgrounds and it's for clothes, it's for whatever, I'm not sure I see a big deal. I'm not sure that I see a big deal.
Joe, what's your thoughts? Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You still going?
Well, we're just not we're not advertising the movie. So if we were advertising the movie, then I would see maybe having the little girl there. I can't say her name, Quavagene.
Well, if you look at it,
better than I could have said it.
Quavagene Wallace is her name. If you look at the ad, it says Annie in theaters December 30 or whatever the date is. It's small print, so I can't see what the date is. But in the photograph with the young white girl, it says Annie in theaters, and then it shows, I guess the shelf or whatever it is that they're doing.
So now in the movie Annie, there are several different children in this movie, and when I say different children, I mean children of all backgrounds.
Movie's called Annie.
It's an orphanage.
The movie is called Annie. I understand that because of this one special girl. Okay, I understand that. I'm not taking anything away from that. Annie was not. I mean, I don't want to say but Annie started off as a white girl.
And Moses started off as a black guy. I mean,
okay. I'm just saying. I don't see. It's me. I don't see the fight.
Okay.
I don't see the fight.
Okay, Joe, what's your thoughts?
I'm sorry. I'm a rock with SY because I really don't care. I don't. I really don't. Now, and the way it looks, they've sectioned that photo off and only highlighted that young white lady in there. And they have Annie close to her head. Okay, so is that supposed to make everybody believe that it's the old Annie? I'm not getting the whole gist of what's going on. It like that's why I said if they would have said the movie Annie starring such and such and such. Okay, is Big Daddy Warbucks in there? Is they got a black man in there with a bald head or with the toupee playing? What's his face? Is his
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx. I see. That's what I'm saying. If they just got a random picture of a bunch of little orphan kids running around and they don't have a specific highlight, why is everybody so pissed about the fact that she didn't get the recognition on this right now?
Ruben?
Because this is a perfect example of what you call ambulance chasing. It's an Annie collection. It's a clothes collection. Yes, the movie's in theaters. They want you to go see the movie because the kids that are wearing the clothes, they're selling them at Target. So you can go and buy them at Target. This has nothing to do with the girl or anything like that. It's just pure marketing. Okay. That's all it is. And I have a problem with the fact that I get it, man. There's some times where some things need to be spoken about. I think sometimes not us, people stretch a little too far. And I think this is one of those times, because to be perfectly honest with you, Miss Wallace probably doesn't give a crap about what Target does. She's getting so much more money. And the fact that they owe her an apology is like dumb. That's what if you don't owe her an apology, then you owe her some money. And if you don't owe her any money, you don't owe her an apology. This is called business. And I'm sick. This bothers me simply for the fact that I feel like this is ambulance chasing. I think that there's sometimes we stretch just a little too far.
So is this the same reason, and I'm going to just flip back for a second, is this the same reason we don't care that the white guy got shot in the stomach by the dog and it's not on the news, but you want to put, just because Annie's black, you want to make a big stink because they have a picture with a bunch of white kids in it and
Exactly.
some Latino kids and some black kids, and you want to.
I think let me get this comment. Michelle K saying she saw the ad. She felt like Q Wallace should have been given the opportunity to model the dress. She wears the identical dress in the movie. Target probably didn't want to pay her to market the dress.
Exactly. She costs too much.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it either.
From what I understand, and I'll say what my comment is here in just a moment. I did some research on it. From what I understand, she was not available. Some kind of contractual reason that she was not available. However, my thing is this: when you have a movie, when you got Captain America, you got Captain America in it. You see the actor. You got Star Wars, you got the Star Wars actors. Fast, Furious, Lord of the Rings, whatever it is, you have people who represent those particular characters that are modeling, that are marketing. And I found it, and this is just me, my opinion, I found it a bit disingenuous for them to not have the star of the film in the marketing. And if the star of the film is not available, at least someone that represents the star of the film, that looks like the star of the film. It's the star. And you have an advertising that says the name of the movie. You want to advertise the movie. You want to build off of the movie. You want to get people in the store because of the movie, but you don't want to showcase the person who's the star of the movie.
Are these girls who are in the clip?
They're just models.
All right. So, I mean,
They're just models.
It's one of those things.
Everything else that I just laid out, is represented by the people who are in it. Have you ever seen Captain America marketed by anybody other than the dude that's in it?
Well, but the thing about it, it's about rights.
You think you're going to see a Fast and Furious thing in Target with anybody other than Vin Diesel and Paul Walker?
Yeah, but it's about rights. It's completely about rights.
So if she wasn't available, right, how would you feel? And how would everybody else feel who's making the
If they had put another black girl up there who really didn't look like her.
If let's say
I
the
would
girl
prefer
who
that,
originally played Annie, they found her old picture and put her old picture up there.
Or the cartoon character.
I actually would have been better off with that than just some random little girl.
But
personally,
but
even
still,
though I'm not saying that that's what I would have wanted, because I would have had a problem with that too.
yes, because still,
But I would have been better with that than
Ms.
just some
Wallace
random
is
girl.
not getting any money.
Okay, well, how about this? I'm gonna put a different spin on it. Target doesn't really market to a lot of black folks. Sorry. Case in point, did you see the Kmart commercial when the kids was all bouncing around and it was all hip hop and da 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 da? You never saw. It's a Kmart commercial out where there was nothing but black kids and they was doing all this dance and listening to hip hop music. They had two little white kids in there and they were jumping around and da 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 and acting like a bunch of damn fools. They were trying to sell to a demographic that sells to the little, what's them twins' name from back in the day? Them Olsen twins.
Yeah.
Mary and Kate.
I think when we have a subtle dig taken, oftentimes we ignore subtle digs and then we make a big, huge deal about it when it's bigger. This may be small to some people, but this is just me talking, and it's 3-1. Y'all disagree with me? That's fine. It's fine. Y'all disagree with me, but I personally find it quite offensive for you to market a movie and you don't have the star of the movie. You mean to tell me that they couldn't figure out a way to work out the contracts to have the star of the movie?
Well, I don't think Target markets like that. I don't think Target markets like that at all. I think they use a lot of models in their stuff, and I don't think they use
okay, so next time you go to Target,
like they don't have a Captain America.
Next time you go to Target,
the picture of Captain America.
That's exactly where I was going. So
they don't have that.
So the next time you go to Target and you see a character that you know of, and they have a person other than the star, I will come on the radio and I will retract everything I said in opposition to this story.
I mean,
show me precedent.
I guess my thing is,
show me precedent.
I shop at Target. So I have not ever noticed anything of that sort.
Well,
usually have the models who do their clothing and stuff like that.
Now that it's on your mind, next time you go to Target and you see, because every couple of months there's a new movie that's big and all the stores want to have their little kiosks for them. That's great. Next time you see one and they don't use the star of the film to market it, let me know. Snap a picture, and I'll come back on here and I'll retract everything I
Well,
said.
I did see one, the little dog that they have in the Target the one, the little dog that they have running
My
around.
sister Melanie is listening in the shy. Melanie, I know
Hey,
you hear
Mel.
these fools. You need to call up here 804-402-2893.
Why we gotta be fools?
And give me
I've got a
something.
question.
I mean, because we don't agree with you, we fools now?
No, that's not why.
I've got a question.
There's other
He
reasons.
like my dog.
It-
man.
You brought up something that I forgot about, and I don't recall if it's a Target commercial. I think it's Target versus Kmart, and the kids are dressed up like Christmas, and they're playing little hip music. Cute little girl. She has a ponytail and the bun in the top. Initially, the little girl looks black. If you pay attention to the commercial, the little girl has now been changed to a white girl. I kid you not.
That don't
I'm going to
surprise
try
me.
to remember the commercial. I
mean-
believe it is Target.
Probably
The
is.
kids are jumping around. She jumps down this little, it was like a Alice in Wonderland theme. She jumps into the, I think it was like marshmallows or something they had. She jumped into the little circle. It was Target. She jumped into it. And she went playing and laughing with the other kids, and they're jumping and la la la.
So you're saying
And
that she was black, then they turned her white.
The
She fell
child
down
looked
the
like she
rabbit
was
hole.
mixed, right? This is what they did. The child looked like she was mixed. You could see the melanin. She had a cute little ponytail, cute little dress on. When they got to the end of the commercial and you could see all the kids nice and clear, that little girl was as white
You
as
sure that wasn't an Old Navy commercial?
No, it wasn't Old Navy.
Reminds
It
me of the
wasn't
Michael
on
Jackson black or white commercial
It
where
wasn't.
everybody changed up colors in that joint.
I'm serious. If y'all know what commercial I'm talking about, pay attention
no
to
idea
the
what you're talking
commercial. Do you
But
know?
if I see it, I'll
I might have
I
to
mean,
go back
it's-
and look at some
You
Target
gotta
commercials
check out
on
the
YouTube.
Christmas commercials.
maybe,
Yeah, the little
you know.
girl little girl changed, and I said, I even asked my daughter. I said, wait a minute, did that little girl just change?
Maybe she did. You know, I had someone,
It's a horrible
I had
editing
someone
job.
white come at me one time, talking about, well, you know, I don't know why y'all get so mad. You know, why y'all tripping? Y'all got, y'all. You know, I mean, and this is a fair-minded
I hate that
person. This
word.
is, well, you know, this was a fair-minded person. He wasn't trying to be nasty, but you know, we were having an honest discussion, and that's one thing that I don't run from. None of us do. We don't run from discussions of race and you know, religion and homosexuality and none of the tough stuff that people like to be punks about. You know, we don't do punk here on Ain't No How Steppin'. With Marcus J. But anyway, we were talking about it, and it's like, you know, why y'all be tripping? Y'all got BET and all that kind of stuff. If there was a white entertainment television, people will go crazy. And I said, well, you got a white entertainment television. He said, what are you talking about? I said, it's called TNT.
It's called news.
It's called TBS. It's called USA. It's called every other channel where you turn it on, and the predominant culture that you see is the Caucasian people. And so I don't understand the up in arms of people who want to have some sort of representation of people who look like themselves. You know, not that BET does that anymore, but that was the discussion, you know, that they had.
Yeah, it's not even black entertainment TV.
Well, obviously, it hasn't been in a very long time, but that was the discussion that we was having. Ain't no how
Bougie
stepping
entertainment TV.
with Marcus. All right, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, Big Rube takes over the show with a long-awaited return of his signature segment we like to call the Round Table. Long-time listeners, you know what you up for. New folks, you about to get a treat. Big Joe, SY, Big Rube, Marcus J. Ain't No How Steppin', Marcus J. Be back in a few minutes.